Okay, so let's do 3.5, more on solving equations. So if we're starting here, we want to get the x on the same side by itself. So the one thing I want you to do is I want you to draw yourself a mirror. Because just like a mirror, if it's seen on one side, it happens on the other side. So if I do it on one side, I need to do it again on the other side. So if I'm going to move my x over, I'm going to go ahead and add 3x to both sides. I like to do addition, makes it an easier problem for me, and I bet it would be for you too. 2 plus 3 is 5x, bringing down the minus 2, bring down the equal sign. Negative 3x with a positive 3x gives me that 0 I'm looking for. Boom. 3 minus 3. And we're left with plus 3, positive 3. Now we're trying to get the x by itself. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that 2. And remember, we're looking for opposite operations. Opposite operations. So here it's plus 2, or excuse me, take that back. Here it's minus 2, so I'm adding 2 to both sides. Here it was negative 3x, I added 3x to both sides. So what I'm done here, I get 2 minus 2, positive 2 and a negative 2 make 0. Bring down your 5x, bring down the equal sign. 2 and 3, or 3 plus 2 would be 5. Opposite operations, this is multiplication, so the opposite would be division. Here I get x equals 1. Now when I go to do my check, slide my paper over here a little bit. I'm going to recopy the original problem, and I found that I got x equals 1. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to replace every x with positive 1 and see what happens. So 2 times 1 gives me 2 minus 2. Negative 3 times 1 gives me negative 3 plus 3. 2 minus 2 is 0, and negative 3 plus 3 is also 0. So it worked. So now let's talk about the steps when we get into a little bit more involved problems. All right. Just like in solving order of operations problems, we always want to get rid of our parentheses first. We want to get rid of our parentheses. Make that look like an E here. All right. So in order to get rid of my parentheses, I'm going to need to do something. I'm going to need to distribute. So I'm going to do 4 times 3, 4 times 5y. 2 times y, 2 times negative 2. The number, it says here multiplication because there's no symbol. If it's multiplication, I've got to distribute it out. So here we have 3 times 4 plus 5y times 4 minus 4. Nothing happens to that 4 because it's not inside the parentheses. Bring down my equal sign. 3 plus 2 times y minus 2 times 2. Remember to make your mirror. So I should have done that before I started. Okay, so now we're going to focus on cleaning up. So what I just call that the cleanup stage. So we're going to clean it up. That's when we're going to go back and do all the multiplication, everything that we needed to just do. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 5 times 4 is 20y. Oh, Dizzy, I didn't think about you, baby. Minus 4, 3 plus 2y minus 4. Sorry about all that noise from my bird. Now he's away. We can keep working. So now, we still can clean up on the same side. We're looking for common things to add together, and we talked about that in chapter 1 and 2. We called that collecting like terms. When we collect like terms, we're going to stay on the same side. So we're looking here, and I see that I have the 12 and the negative 4, so I'm going to put those together. There's no x or y, they're just numbers. So 12 minus 4 is 8. Bring down the 20y. Bring down the equal sign. 3 and negative 4. So I'm going to go ahead and move my 2y down. This should be negative 1. So now that we see There's nothing left to collect on the left side, nothing left to collect on the right side. Now we're going to go ahead and do what we were doing for the first problem today, which is get the variable on the same side. Get variable on same side. So a lot of times I'm going to pick, if there's a negative, I want to add, so I'll go that way. They're both positive. I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 2y from both sides. Now, I do that again just for the simplicity. Makes it easier to do 20 minus 2 instead of 2 minus 20. So 2 minus 2, 2y minus 2y is going to give me a 0. Here, bring down my 8. 20 minus 2 is a positive 18. Bring down my equals. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So I just bring that negative 1 down. Now, just one thing to think about here. This next step is going to be kind of taking your order of operations and going backwards. Now we're going to do all the addition and subtraction. And our main goal this entire time is to get the y by itself, or the variable by itself. So you'll notice this is an addition problem. I need to look at what 8 is. 8 is a positive 8. I want it to be on the other side. So in order to do that, as long as I do it the same for both sides, then I can do that. Minus 8, minus 8. So 8 minus 8 gives me the 0 I was hoping for. Bring down that 18y. Bring down your equal. They're both negatives. That means I add them together. 1 and 8 make 9. Both negative, they stay negative. And then the last thing we want to do is multiplication and division. So again, opposite operations, opposite operations. This isn't a multiplication problem. 18 times y, multiplication. Opposite of multiplication would be division. So in this case, 18 divided by 18 gives me a 1. So that's 1, and I'm left with y. Here, I have the 9 on the top and the 18 on the bottom. Anytime the number that's on top is smaller, it's going to stay a fraction. I'm not going to go 9 goes into 18. I want to simplify the fraction. So I can divide 9 and 18 by 9. So divide this by 9 and divide this by 9. Negative 9 divided by 9 is negative 1. Maybe even write it over here. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So my y is negative 1/2. Alright, so we're going to try this equation. This time we're going to use the same steps we just went through. So I'm going to try to kind of come back to the steps as we go through. And the first thing is parentheses. Well, this problem does not have any parentheses. So I go to step 2. Well, since there was no parentheses, there's nothing to clean up. But there is some collecting like terms. So you noticed I drew my mirror. I'm going to look on the left side. Can I collect my like terms? So 3n and 15, and negative 15. No, they're not the same, so I can't collect them. Remember, if there's a variable or there's not a variable, okay, you can't add them together. If there's two that have variables like you're looking at over here, 5n and 4n, then yes, you can collect them. 5n and negative 4n is positive 1n, and we just move this side down. All right, so my next step says get the variable on the same side. So I'm looking, I have a 3n and then 1n, because remember, even though there's not a 1 there, we think of it as 1n. I'm going to go ahead and subtract that n from both sides. Here we got what we wanted. N minus n is my 0. Here, 3 minus 1 is 2n minus 15, and I'm left with a positive 3. So now it tells me add and subtract. The whole purpose is to get the n by itself. So we got to get rid of this 15, and it's a negative 15. And the opposite of subtracting 15 is adding 15. This gives me the 0. Here I'm left only with 2n. 3 and 15 makes 18. My last step, multiplication and division. So I'm looking here, dividing, because the opposite of multiplication, and that's 2 times n, is division. 2 divided by 2 is my 1, and I'm left with n equals 9. So this is the last problem we're going to do in this section, and I'm only going to go halfway through the problem. Then I'll give you a chance to check that problem and try the rest on your own. And then tomorrow in class, or the next day that you see me in class, I would like you to show me that you've completed this problem. So again, we're looking at our steps, and the first one says parentheses. Well, there's parentheses. This is 3 times this, and this is 7 times this. So I'm going to use that distribution property. And here I have 3 times 7 plus 3 times 2x. However you write your multiplication, you can do it with a dot or the parentheses. That's 30, almost like I made negative. Plus 7 times x minus 7 times 1. So here, my next step says clean it up. We got rid of the parentheses, now clean it up. 21 plus 3 times 2 is 6x equals 30 plus 7x minus 7. And I forgot to make my mirror. Make that back. Next step, collect like terms. So I'm looking at the left side. They are not like. One has a variable, one doesn't. And if I haven't taught you candy corn and Smarties, make sure you check with me so I can talk to you about candy corn and Smarties. This is candy corn and Smarties. On this side, look at what we have here. 30 and minus 7. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this side because nothing happened over here. 30 minus 7 would be 23. And I'm left with a positive 7x. Now this is where I'm going to stop. You're going to want to go now through your steps. We already did parentheses, clean up, collect like terms. You now are going to get the variable on the same side. Use your addition and subtraction, multiplication and division to get the variable by itself.